Welcome everybody. It's Quarter Twins time. We're high energy today, whether we like it or not. Welcome to Quarter Twins, the only podcast where two quarters make $1. This is episode number 14. We just finished our long Marvel Cinematic Juniverse series, where we covered all the Marvel movies. If you haven't caught up on those yet, go back and listen to them. Watch some Marvel movies. Have a great time. Join us next week for Thor: Love and Thunder to add, and we'll place that movie in our MCU list.
Oh, snap.
But today, we got some good things to talk about, good and or bad things to talk about. It's subjective. Welcome to the video version of this podcast that you will be seeing, regardless of where. Well, that's not true. If you're watching this on Spotify or YouTube, you will be seeing our faces. If you're on Apple or something else, you will not be.
Unlucky.
Which is unlucky.
I don't think Anchor actually supports video format, at least on mobile.
I think so.
But
I think they just send it over to Spotify.
Yeah.
So.
Oh well.
Yeah, we're here on Tuesdays now. Hope everybody's down, because we are, and we're here. So thank you all, as always, for watching and listening and joining us on this venture. Yeah. What do we got? What do we got going on today, Joshua?
Today, we are going to finish the Obi-Wan Kenobi Disney Plus Star Wars television series. We have to talk about the ending, episodes 5 and 6. I don't know if I really want to just dive deep into what happened or like talk about each episode individually. It's been enough time. People have seen it or they haven't, or they're like behind enough and they're going to watch it later on their own time. We're going to just talk about the series as a whole today. Just really I got things to say. Jordan's got things to say. It's going to be a whole thing. After that, we have our Lightyear review. We're going to start with spoilers, do the plot synopsis and general thoughts and feelings.
Start with non-spoilers.
Non-spoilers. Did I say spoilers? Non-spoilers.
You said spoilers. We're going to start with non-spoilers.
Yes, that's fair.
Yeah.
And then we're going to get into the nitty-gritty, spoil it up for you guys. Talk about the good, the bad, the funny, but not necessarily in that order. Right. Get a little art or fart going. That'll be great.
It back.
And we have some recommendations as well from Jordan, which is exciting.
Woo.
I have plenty of recommendations too.
We can recommend things all day.
Yeah, exactly. So, why don't we just get started? Jordan?
Let's just do it.
Obi-Wan Kenobi is over.
Let's just get started.
Your immediate and never-changing thoughts.
Some of you may have seen a post on my Instagram the day or two after the last episode was released. I often write down my thoughts and feelings when I feel something that is a strong feeling. I like to write that thing down. And so Kenobi made me feel strong things, so I wrote some things down and titled it "Kenobi Broke Me," which is very dramatic.
But potentially true.
Potentially true. When the first two episodes came out, I was a lot more positive about it. I think I was just kind of like just in it for Obi-Wan, and I was like, yeah, this is I expected the show to obviously include the character of Leia, but I kind of thought and probably deep down hoped that her arc would resolve in the third episode and she would be gone and never seen again. I thought it was going to be like a fun thing that they did for the first half of the season, and then the last half would be hardcore Darth Vader, Obi-Wan conversation, conflict, that sort of thing. And it really is just Leia is around, and it's just another Star Wars story where an old guy has to carry around a child through the galaxy, which we've seen.
That does
many,
seem
many
to be
times.
happening quite a bit these days.
Quite a bit. I got the Mandalorian and the Bad Batch and that sort of thing, where these guys learn how to take care of a kid and all that stuff. And well, I'm very conflicted on Obi-Wan. While there are things in it that are good, there's one. The last episode includes like one of the best things to come out of Star Wars in a few years. The last episode has a fight. The fight itself the last fight between Obi-Wan and Darth Vader. The fight itself, I could take it or leave it. I don't think it's
not revolutionary or anything.
No, it takes place in like in a dark, ugly setting, and there's nothing creative about the camera work or anything. There's some cool choreography here and there, but I laughed out loud when he like picks up a bunch of rocks and like starts throwing them at Darth Vader, and he just like takes it, and they just like evaporate onto him. I laughed so hard at that. I was like, this is goofy. But then Obi-Wan slashes his mask, Darth Vader's mask, and you see Hayden Christensen on one half, Darth Vader on the other. His voice box has been destroyed, so you can hear like part Hayden Christensen, part James Earl Jones, and the conversation they have is really, really good. And it that's like the one thing in the show that enhances things in the next movies. Darth Vader tells Obi-Wan, he says, "Obi-Wan, I am not your failure. You didn't kill Anakin Skywalker. I did. I am all that remains." And so Obi-Wan is kind of released of the guilt and the responsibility that he felt for killing Anakin, because he now sees that the dark side really did take him over, and it wasn't his fault for that happening. So that's like the best thing in the show. Everything else I have written here: script, production design, filmmaking, story, character writing, score. All of that sucks. It's a bad show in all of those ways. Where is the budget? The budget, it looks like a fan film. It looks terrible for like daytime TV. The lightsabers look like the lightsabers you'd buy at Disneyland. Like everything just looks super cheap and bad for the most part. So after that last episode came out, I was in a period of distress and anger towards Star Wars and these people who made something that I didn't like, and so I harnessed those feelings into a very angry note that's on my iPhone.
Strongly worded email to Kathleen Kennedy.
Yes. And just, the next few days, I calmed down a bit, and things, start to go into perspective. Like, at the end of the day, this is just a goofy, science fiction wizard show that is, it is what it is, based on a series that is largely not even that good.
Yeah.
What's
up with Star Wars not really being that good?
Yeah. And we've talked about this at length in our Star Wars episode, that Star Wars is it stands the test of time for more reasons than the objectivity of the filmmaking, or it's not prestige cinema or anything, right? It's fun science fiction that is like good for all ages. Everybody finds a way to relate to it. And it's not always bangers. It's really not. There's a lot of Star Wars that I don't like. There, of the 3 Star Wars shows, live action Star Wars shows we've gotten, I've disliked 2 of the 3. And it's a strange thing, because Star Wars is what it is. It's Star Wars, and it's, I got to see Obi-Wan, and I got to see him talk and fight to Anakin, and they have some flashbacks with Hayden Christensen and Ewan McGregor that are just really, really good. And the show itself is just not what I wanted, and that is okay. It's not for me, and I'll never watch it again. But I don't want to be the type of film critic that's like, I don't like this, so everybody else should not like it. Like, if you like this, that is also great. There's a lot to like in it. It just didn't work for me, and I wish Disney was putting out some better Star Wars content. And I said to a few people, I'm so surprised at the show because I thought Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni had this thing under control. Like, they're the major creative heads behind The Mandalorian. And I assumed that their names were all over this, but then I looked at the cast and crew, and their names are nowhere to be found, and not even producing or writing or consultate. I don't know if they had any input or if Dave Filoni was around for consultation or anything, but I think that definitely explains some of the things. Like, there's
busy working on Mando season 3.
Yeah, for sure. There are things like, if I let myself obsess over just the numerous plot holes created by this show, like, I would go insane, because there are so many things that are just, and I'm just shocked that, like, they're breaking basic canon at this point. And if
like
I let myself,
Leia knows the name Obi-Wan Kenobi,
yeah,
and that it's Ben.
Yeah, and she has a whole, like, he gives her her blaster holder at the end to remember him by, and she doesn't seem to have any sort of emotional connection with him in the original movies.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, I just don't, it baffles me that they did this. Like, it's just, and I know at the end Reva goes after Luke, and I know Luke doesn't see a lightsaber ignite, but then after Reva's gone, Obi-Wan just waltzes up to Luke with his lightsaber hanging on his hip and is like, "Hello there." And then in A New Hope, Luke's like, "What is this? A lightsaber?" I know that he just, like, it was on his hilt, his hip or whatever, but, like, he saw it. Like, he's not supposed to have seen a lightsaber, and that's just, like, a simple thing that, like, if you just thought about it for 2 more seconds, you would have avoided simple things that distract me and make me angry. But anyway, what do you think? I don't really want to talk about it anymore from my perspective.
Okay.
It makes me sad.
I'm like on the other side of the same coin here.
Mm-hmm.
I know that it's not great. I know that it's not good. But I still enjoyed it for the most part. I got a lot of, like, thoughts and conversations that have happened in the last week for me that have kind of changed my whole perspective on how people see things differently.
Mm-hmm.
So I had my first week of training for my job this week, and I spent lunch with the same 3 people every day. And one day we drove to Famous Footwear to get our work shoes together because we got a voucher. And we were in the car and we talked about Obi-Wan, and I talked about how I have a podcast, got to plug podcast.
Plug that podcast.
And I brought up Obi-Wan because we were going to talk about it today. And we're all in an engineering job, so we're all nerds, so we all watched the show. And all 3 of them were like, "Oh yeah, it was so bad." Like, all the stuff you said, basically, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh yeah, but I kind of liked it." And they were like, "How can you like this?" And I go back and I think about, like, how basically I kind of just put the negative stuff to the side and just focused on the good stuff, the stuff that we all wanted it to be. Obi-Wan coming to terms with the fact that Anakin is still alive, meeting Darth Vader, being released of his grief, getting that catharsis in a way. And that was all really good. And it, like, really good. And I loved it. But then all this stuff with Leia and Reva just didn't really work. And I think you mentioned how it should have been a movie. Like, this could have been an 1.5 hour long movie or even like 2-hour movie,
Yeah.
and just focused on the Obi-Wan Darth Vader stuff and had a short retrieval mission for Leia or something. Or they could have done something completely different.
Just something else.
Yeah. To not break canon.
Yeah.
And so I just started thinking about it then. And then yesterday, we go to a McMiniman's, which is a bar and grill here. Pretty good stuff. I had the backyard burger. Shout out.
Nice.
And we're talking about it with my mom. And she was like, yeah, I just don't see TV and movies the way that you guys do. I just watch it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like such a simple way to say it, I guess. But like, it really is so different from the way that we watch stuff. Because we sit there and we were listening to my podcast on the car on the way back, which is great for me. Hear my own voice all the way. And you were talking about Civil War, and you said that the color grading was bad. And my dad was like, "What's that? What's color grading?" And I was like, "Whoa." And it's like, I don't even really know what color grading is.
Right.
But I'll say stuff like that to sound smart and like I actually pay attention to that stuff. But I watch TV and movies the same way, where like the first time I watch it, I like just about everything I see.
Yeah, I feel that.
Because I'm just sitting there experiencing it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, wow, this is great. And I think since the podcast started, that's sort of starting to change, where I'm starting to be a little bit more analytical because I'm often taking notes on the things I'm watching so that I can talk about them here. But like, this show isn't great. It's not good. Like, it has some sparks, but overall, it wasn't anything anybody really wanted.
No.
And I think part of the problem with that, specifically, is this is Obi-Wan Kenobi, and it's Star Wars, and this is the most hype show ever.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
It has to be perfect. But it's only 6 episodes, and for whatever reason, they have a shoestring budget.
Yeah.
So the show it could have never reached the expectations we had all set for it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, in the first, like, 3-4 episodes, I knew this wasn't going to be it. But I was just going to be that guy that was like, I like it anyway, because Star Wars is Star Wars. And I'm trying to be subjective, like, how all art should be perceived your own way, right? Yeah. We talk about our podcast, and we pretend like our opinions are facts. That's not true.
That's just a bit.
We'll break the facade now. What we think should not determine what you think.
You're right.
And the videos that we watch does not fully determine what we think. So, if you like it because it has lightsabers and the Force and Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen are back, that's great. That's fun for you, and that's awesome. But we don't feel the same way, sadly.
Yeah.
And I guess my final point is, you mentioned it briefly that we've kind of over-romanticized Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
And I've said it in multiple episodes on this podcast already, I think, about how Star Wars is Star Wars. And it should just be, all Star Wars is good Star Wars. Because any Star Wars is going to be fun. It's new things to bring to the world, blah, 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 blah. And I think that is not a valid excuse for Star Wars and Disney to make something just to make it.
Yeah.
And I think that this show was made just to be made.
Yep. Like,
they thought, let's get Hayden Christensen and Ewan McGregor together and just do it.
Yeah.
Hashtag Spider-Man No Way Home.
Yeah.
And
that is like the definition of a product. Like, it's just where there's art and there's, product for the sake of being a product. And that, it's a hard line to balance, I guess, because all artists need to make money in some way, right? So we've talked about that too. Like, Hollywood, there are artists, but they all need to make money, right? So it's a hard thing to balance.
And to further your point, I don't think that the people who made this wanted it to be bad.
No,
like obviously they worked very hard to create this, and they put their heart, blood, sweat, and tears into it. And I could never make something that good, right?
Me neither.
And
sure.
So I guess that's a bit of a bummer on my side, but whatever. But I think they have a ton of money. This is Disney we're talking about. They're like the legendary Giga Chads of the Hollywood universe.
Giga Chads.
And it's just it's disappointing because they created this. They knew it was gonna be hype because that's how they marketed it. Ewan McGregor's back. Hayden Christensen's back. We're gonna do an Obi-Wan show. And they waited a long time. It got delayed once or twice because of COVID, and then delayed again, so they didn't have to release it at the same time. And then they still released Miss Marvel during the same time period, and now that show's doing really bad, and that's really sad.
Terrible choice.
And then they released the first 2 episodes at the same time, too, which doesn't make any sense either. I don't know. This whole thing is like really sad for me because I thought that the show was going to be something, and we were going to be like, this is the one, right?
Yeah.
And I liked it because it has moments of brilliance. But overall, it just wasn't enough of the good stuff. Like it had so much extra stuff.
Yeah.
And yet at the same time, if it's going to be a TV show, I would have rather it been longer.
Oh, of course, yeah.
So that you could have had this little 6-episode Leia arc.
Yeah.
And then you could have kept going with Obi-Wan and Anakin now having to reconcile each other's existence again.
Yeah. And at the end you've reintroduced Liam Neeson as Qui-Gon Jinn, which is like, they obviously knew we wanted to see that. We wanted to see Liam Neeson back. Like, put him in the whole show. Give Obi-Wan somebody to talk to where he has somebody to process, like, he's essentially deconstructing his faith, right? He's in this period of this thing that I devoted my life to has failed, and I've lost like this boy that I've essentially raised.
Mm-hmm.
He's struggling with that, but like this show, it focuses so much on like, it's baby Princess Leia, oh my gosh, and it's just like it feels like a waste of potential, I guess, which is a bummer.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I like what you said about art and subjectivity and objectivity, like, and it does, like, it raises the question, like, why, if anybody can like whatever they want, so like, why do we do this? Like, what is film criticism if it is, it's a subjective thing,
right?
And so I don't really know how to answer that. I mean, it's just like, me and Joshua, we want to talk about film and TV, and there is value in other perspectives, right? So it just so happens that we agree on this show pretty much. You enjoyed it more than I did, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
And I sometimes I envy people who can just watch things and watch them and enjoy them and not be offended by them, because sometimes I'm just like, I wish I wasn't as analytical as I was. But at the same time, like, I don't know, film is art, and it has the potential to be very profound in ways and help you learn things about yourself and the world and teach you things and make you feel things. And that's what art is. And so it's worth discussing. So the podcast is still going. We're not shutting it down.
I was going to make a joke about canceling it, but that's not going to happen.
We're here for the foreseeable future.
Exactly. Okay.
Any other Obi-Wan thoughts? What do you think what do you think the general... I've seen things on... I have a pretty small, like, bubble of, like, film bros on Twitter, that that I follow, and I know the general reaction from like the crowd that I kind of relate to most. But what do you think the general, like, are people digging this? Or are they going to keep rolling stuff out? I mean, like, Andor is coming up. I think that show looks
That
fantastic.
show looks way better.
So much better. And I am just like so shocked to be saying that, because I think I said, like, I literally had zero interest in anything to do with Cassian Andor. Like, I literally didn't care.
What a random pick character.
Dang, that show looks good. And I don't know, man. What do you think? What do you think's happening over there?
Well, like, I scroll through TikTok quite a bit. Nice. Okay, I'm gonna be upfront about that.
We need to get back on there. We need to post some more stuff.
Dude, it's a fantastic app. Like, I've seen quite a few videos of people reacting to the Obi-Wan Anakin confrontation in episode 6.
Yeah.
And they are crying. They're like so happy and hyped for it. And like that was how I was feeling too. Like, I really genuinely thought it was so great in the moment.
He does the 2-finger point thing.
Oh my god, right now.
Wow, he did this
Star Wars.
Yeah.
Right? And they can pull on our heartstrings all they want. They still made an Obi-Wan show about Leia. And that's
I'll
just
never
the bummer.
Forgive them.
That's just the bummer right there.
Yeah, it is a bummer. It makes me sad.
Yeah, I think people like it, and they're just gonna be blind to all the bad stuff, and that's fine, as we said.
Yes.
I think the problem, air quotes on the audio listeners, air quotes, the problem with blindly liking things is that they're gonna end up making more dilute versions of the bits and pieces that you liked. Rise of Skywalker. Yeah. And it's just going to end up being a product instead of an art piece. And that's where I personally draw the line.
Yeah, for sure.
And when it steps out of people impassioned had inspiration to make this thing.
Right.
Instead, they're like, we need to reboot. We need to sequel. We need to finish off a 9-episode series and undo all of the great expectation subversion and plot twists and character writing from a random movie. And Last Jedi is great. Okay, that's the end of my rant.
Yeah,
that movie is so good. Okay.
And it does like. Oh, what was I gonna say? It does worry me, like. For the most part, Disney Star Wars seems to be, like with the sequel trilogy, like each movie was, okay, before we make a movie, how do we think the audience, what do we think the audience wants to see? What do we think these people will yell and scream at the screen for? What will make the most money? All of that stuff. And then write a movie instead of like bringing on like a filmmaker, letting them like make a Star Wars film within, this major universe, and maybe people will like it. And I don't want to like, there is, while I don't like that they included Leia in the show at all, like I don't want to discount like that young actress did a great job. I felt like
she really did.
She was really good.
And
she did a great job, and so did like all of the actors in there, like the actress who plays Reva, like I think she has potential. I think her character just wasn't written super well. And
the idea of like a youngling turned Sith Inquisitor for the sole purpose of getting vengeance on Darth Vader.
Make that show
awesome.
That sounds dope.
Yeah,
right.
That doesn't need to be an Obi-Wan.
No, it doesn't.
Make that its own show. That would be so cool.
That would be
to have
so
a main
dope.
character to be a dark side Force user.
Like imagine Jedi Fallen Order, but instead of Cal Kestis, it's a youngling who instead of going to the light, goes basically to the dark to get revenge on Darth Vader. Right? Like that's that's a great idea. Make that show.
Would be super cool. It would stink because she would fail. Oh, that's another thing I wanted to talk about is prequels inherently are spoiled before they're made.
Absolutely.
And I think my mom mentioned it to me that she was like, yeah, the show doesn't really work because Obi-Wan can't die. Darth Vader can't die.
Right.
Luke and Leia can't die. We all know where they're going to be at the end of the show.
Yeah.
And that, I mean...
It is a problem.
Sure, prequels have been good in the past. I can't think of any off the top of my head, but I'm sure that one has been good. But like, I don't know. It's hard to... Black Widow. Would you consider that a prequel?
Sorry, I mean, it is a prequel, but...
brain. That's a good movie.
It's a good one. It's better than this show, that's for sure.
Heyo. Yeah, it is. Wish this was a movie about Obi-Wan.
Yeah. But yeah, you're right.
That's basically...
Go ahead. My major issue with the last episode is I love the conversation that Darth Vader and Obi-Wan have, but within the context of the scene, Obi-Wan and Anakin are presumably on this planet alone, like there's no other life. And throughout this whole show, Obi-Wan believes that they're still good in Anakin potentially. And then in the last episode, his Obi-Wan's character arc is coming to the realization that Anakin is truly gone. Darth Vader is all that remains. There is no good in him. He is truly evil. And so that allows Obi-Wan to kind of release himself from being weighed down by this guilt. Right. So in that fight, once Obi-Wan realizes that Anakin is completely gone, Darth Vader is all that remains. Obi-Wan, in the context of this show, has no reason to not kill Darth Vader. Mm-hmm. This is a man who will go on to kill countless numbers of people, and Obi-Wan just lets him live for literally no reason.
Yeah.
There's no reason, other than he has to show up in the next movie. So it's that's write a different scenario. Have him get away or something instead of just leaving him there alone, alive.
He can't just walk away.
Yeah. It's not like in Revenge of the Sith when Obi-Wan walks away. He just cut off all his limbs and left him in a boiling lake of lava. That's not the same thing. He thought he was dead because he should have been, but apparently in Star Wars, as long as you're really angry, you don't actually die. So
revenge does numbers on the will to live.
I love that character.
He was great.
Just take out Reva and make him the Inquisitor. If you're not going to give Reva the proper characterization, keep the posh British villain dude who's super fun and ridiculous. It would have added some life to this show. Anyway. Oh, I mean, I could keep going, but
I think we've assimilated our thoughts on Obi-Wan.
We love it. It's great. It's Star Wars.
Perfect. 10 out of 10. Would never watch again.
Yeah, no. Would not.
Let's talk about a different Disney property.
Yeah. How'd this one go?
Lightyear to infinity and beyond. Okay. Yep. Let's start with our spoiler-free plot synopsis and thoughts and feelings.
Yep.
Basically, this is the... And they lined it up for us here at the beginning with a little text.
They want to make sure. They really want to make sure are we all on the same page? Yeah. In 1995, Andy from the Toy Story movies, he saw a movie which has the character of Buzz Lightyear in it, which is why he got the toy. And this is that movie, right? They really want to make that super clear.
Yeah, because a lot of people don't know that, and then they watch the movie and they think it's bad or something. Yeah. Or they don't want to watch a random another Toy Story movie just about Buzz, but it's weirdly animated and it's Chris Evans. Yeah. So there's a whole lot of stuff going on in that vein. Yeah. But basically, this is a movie about the real Buzz Lightyear, him being a space ranger for Star Command, going on a mission, and he makes a mistake, and this mistake leads his entire ship to be stranded on an island, or on a planet, I should say. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so the goal of the movie is for Buzz to find a way to get light speed travel back so
Yep.
they can escape this planet.
Yep.
And I don't know what's the official runtime on this movie?
Hour
Like
45.
20 minutes. This movie. Oh
you felt
okay.
you felt it was short. I didn't really have that reaction.
I thought this movie was so short. It felt like it just kind of blitzed through the whole plot.
Yeah. Hour 45.
Hour 45.
I was spot on. Look at that.
My guess was pretty far off.
Yeah, spoiler-free plot synopsis. That's spoiler-free plot synopsis. It has Chris Evans as Buzz Lightyear.
He does a pretty good job.
Yeah, it's another strange thing because I had a great time with it. We'll talk about why, but spoilery stuff. The time for spoilers. Any other spoiler-free thoughts?
It looks really good. The animation is actually pristine.
Beautiful. Yeah.
The textures are real. Everything is kind of dirty on this planet, which is something CGI often fails to realize, that things can get dirty.
Yes.
So that's cool. It looks way too good to be from 1995.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Not that they're gonna go back in time and make an old looking movie. Of course they're gonna make it look good, but
maybe they should have. We'll get to it.
That kind of actually would have been cool.
Okay, so yeah, that's the whole. This is the movie that Andy saw. They really want to hammer that home. This movie is from 1995. Andy saw it. That's why he bought the toy, and I just don't buy it. It's just, I don't think it makes any sense to believe that, because on one hand it uses 2022 technology, CGI. It looks like the original Toy Story was like one of the first feature length animated movies, right? Like back in
computer
96.
animated, yeah.
And so like I don't think you don't need to go back and make a movie that looks like the first Toy Story, because that movie doesn't look very good.
No.
And we've made leaps and bounds in animation. I don't think you need to do that. But there is like, I don't know. I think people would have loved just like a 2D animated. Did you watch the 2D like Buzz Lightyear movie and TV show and all that? That stuff is great.
So good.
It's so good, and I think
I want it on Disney Plus.
I think people genuinely like. We're in an age of animation now where things like Spider-Verse have kind of helped people realize like animation can be more than just the standard like 3D model from Disney or Pixar. Like, not that their animation is bad by any means, but like there's more creative, things that you can do with animation. And I think people are like, if they saw like a 2022 2D animated Buzz Lightyear movie that is like super like 1990s cheesy
stylized
science fiction,
like
make it like the show, maybe. I don't know, because are we in spoilers?
No, I don't think so yet.
Okay, but yeah, I think it's if they just didn't make that claim that it was the movie Andy saw, I wouldn't have a problem with it. Like, I think it would have just been just fine. Movie. It's just a movie that has Buzz Lightyear in it, and it doesn't need to be anything else. But I make it sound like I don't like this movie. I really like this movie. I thought it was super fun. I just think it's kind of goofy that they really picked that hill to die on when they didn't need to.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about spoiler stuff then.
Yep.
And we can get into, we're going to do good, the bad, the funny, but we're going to do it bad, good, funny.
Yep.
Because we've been too negative already, so let's keep being negative, and then we'll talk.
Yeah. I think we got tired of like talking about all the good stuff about a movie and then ending with the bad stuff.
Yeah.
I think that was just kind of like bleh. So anyway, do you want to start with some bad?
Yeah. My main bad thing, I guess, is that I felt that the movie was super short. Like, when it ended, I was like, oh, that's it?
Yeah.
It felt like it could have been I mean, it doesn't have to be like 2.5 hour, 3 hour epic event film.
Yeah,
You know,
it is still a kids movie, so
and it is a PG
So
movie. Of course, it has to be a little bit shorter.
Yeah.
Keep their attention the whole time. Blitz through the plot. I understand that this movie is not made for 23-year-olds.
Yeah.
But you know, it is. We like to carry these things forward. Like Monsters University came out right when I started college. You know,
Yeah.
like they're like making these sequels to old movies that came out when we were kids.
Yeah.
Now again, this is a nostalgic movie for us, like
Sure.
Finding Dory or something
Yeah.
too. Like these long-standing sequels for us, but they're also actually for actual kids. So like I get it. I think the main thing that I would have wanted them to kind of make longer would have been like letting Buzz kind of wallow a little bit more, because, and we're into spoilers, by the way.
Yeah.
So,
Give us a spoiler plot synopsis.
yeah. So basically, every time that they have a new fuel crystal to test, so they're testing this new technology to create light speed from the resources they have on this planet they're stranded on. So they're gonna make these crystals and try to go to light speed. So Buzz flies around the sun and comes back, getting as close to light speed as he can, and he fails. And then he comes back, and 4 years have passed on the ground while he was up there for 4 minutes or whatever.
It's very interstellar, this movie.
The theory of relativity. So, and they do actually spend a little bit of time explaining it too.
Yeah.
Which is nice. And so he spends 4 years, and then he's like, I'm not giving up. We got to keep going. We're going to figure this out no matter how many times it takes. So we have this nice montage of him failing over and over again, and we get to see everyone else around him have an actual life on this stranded planet. They start to like really set up roots and are kind of just like, we're going to live here and do our thing, and if Buzz figures it out, that's good too. And so his partner, Hawthorne, is like the leader of this place. She got injured in the intro to the movie, so she couldn't really be a space ranger anymore.
Yeah.
And she doesn't fly the ship with him anymore. And so he's going up and down, and we see her life kind of flash through Buzz's eyes, basically, because he's not aging. He comes back, and they have a new crystal, and he goes again.
Yep.
And then, so he like ages like an hour, and then everybody else around him is like 90 or dead. And this new generation of people is like helping him.
Yeah.
And then there's one last mission. He comes back, and over time, he's like more and more depressed about them failing and seeing glimpses of other people's lives and not having one. He doesn't realize that that's why he's sad, but that is why he's sad. And he gets this cat called Socks, who's like a mental health support animal, but it's a robot little cat, which is great. That character's super funny.
Very cute.
Beep boop, beep boop, beep boop.
Yeah.
You know, it's great.
Great kid stuff.
And so he tells the cat to solve the light speed problem, and it takes him like 60 years, but he finally figures it out. The perfect equation or whatever. And so Buzz goes to light speed, he comes back, and it's been another like 20 years or something. This last jump is like longer.
Yeah.
And so all of his friends are gone. And he finds the granddaughter of Hawthorne, his friend. And there are robots and a laser shield.
Yep.
And now he's got to fight Zurg. And so
he joins
this
up
is
with
like
Taika Waititi and a gang of
misfits.
Space Ranger cadets, basically.
Yeah. And so this is where the movie like actually starts.
Yeah.
And then it's just full blast. Go in, Space Ranger Star Wars heist to save the world.
Yeah.
And I think everything that preceded it could have been a little bit more fleshed out.
Yeah.
Because all of the important plot things that happen at the end of the movie in this latter half, once he's fighting Zurg, are good and important.
Yeah.
But I feel like I didn't personally get enough of all of that setup in the beginning, because it's just a montage at the beginning of the movie. And so I didn't see all of the payoff.
Sure.
Like what it could have been maxed out to be.
Sure.
That all being said, I think this movie is super fun and positive. It looks really good. Everybody's acting is doing a good job. I like that it was sad for the first half of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of stealing your thunder here on this point, but
no, you're good.
It was like it is a kid's movie, a kid's movie, so it has to be like happy and have a happy ending. But I did like that they weren't afraid to still have like serious moments. So that I think that is pretty good. And I really liked the side characters.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I talked about my one of my bad things is just the fact that they really committed to this. This is the movie Andy saw bit, and I just don't think it's worth it, because it just doesn't make, I don't think it makes sense, because if this is the movie Andy saw, like it's just so strange that if this is actually the movie Andy saw, wouldn't in our current real life reality, wouldn't we be selling toys that look like the original Buzz Lightyear, because that's what the toys look like that they made after seeing this movie, right? But but we're selling toys that look like Chris Evans' Buzz Lightyear. So it's like, you're almost not committing enough to your strange bit. Like it is.
Well, they already sold those toys.
I know, and it's strange, and it's like, I don't believe that toy is from that movie. And you know why I don't believe that? Because the Buzz Lightyear toys we have now look completely different, and they're his, like, at the end of the movie, he gets his upgraded suit that is the suit of the Buzz Lightyear we know, but all the toys here in our world have his old suit that don't have the wings and all that stuff. He has his Chris Evans suit. It's just like, it's just silly. It's not like, it doesn't affect the film necessarily. I just think it's ridiculous.
It's just a weird little external bit.
Yeah, I think it hurts the movie, not maybe as a film, but it hurts it. I think it hurt it monetarily. I don't think it's doing very well, because I think people are confused about what it is, and and it's very marketing. It's very solo Star Wars story, where it's like, here's the origin of his wrist laser, and here's the origin of his wings, and here's the origin of his the ship that he gets packaged in. When it's just like, you spend the whole movie without his wings and without his wrist laser until he gets them, and so it's just like, we don't care where he gets them. Just like, movies didn't used to do this. Like, they would just start the movie with the stuff that they had, and like, you don't have to do that. Just stop it.
Yeah.
I wanted to see his little wrist laser, because that's what he has. That's what he has. This is Buzz Lightyear.
He started with a lightsaber machete.
Yeah, they have freaking swords and stuff. And like, why wouldn't Andy have a Socks the Cat toy instead of Buzz Lightyear? I just don't get it. All of that aside, none of that really matters. I really like it. I think I saw it in a theater with a bunch of kids in it, and the kids had a freaking great time. They were laughing and having and cheering and all this stuff. And that usually annoys me in a theater. I'm one of those guys who's like, shut up, kids. But when you're seeing a kids movie and kids are enjoying it, that usually means something good.
That's a good thing.
Although when the movie ended, a girl in front of us stood up and she said, "I did not like that movie."
Oh.
To her parents. It's like, oh, all right. So, maybe it's 50-50. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, we talked about the animation.
There's got to be like a kid's Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, right.
So that they can
give
rate
their
it.
reviews. I think it's really fun. It's also just like, it is like, he's a depressed dude for a lot of it. Like, the plot is very just heavy, and it's kind of about like, our American like work culture, and like you'll spend your whole life, you don't want to spend your whole life working day to day 24 hours. Like, your life will pass you by, and you'll lose people you love, type of thing. Like, life is more than just your job and all of that sort of thing, and there's more to life than just utility, and family is important, and all of this. It's like really like deep stuff for a kids movie, where like maybe that's not good for kids, but like for me, I'm like, I dig it. I love that he's just a sad, depressed, strange little man. That's a little quote.
Strange little man. Nice.
And I couldn't really come up with a ton of reasons why I liked it. I think it's just a fun movie that's made really well. I do think there's some missed potential. I think the fact that the movie takes place on one planet, I think, is a little bit of a missed opportunity. And all of the side characters are human characters, where like the Buzz Lightyear TV show, like all of his friends are aliens, and they're going to different planets and having all these adventures.
Gosh, that show is good.
It's so fun. So I think like it's one of those things where like the movie as it is good. Could it have been something else? Sure, but it is this, and I like what it is for what it is.
Right.
Yeah. And
you didn't say that about Obi-Wan.
No, because
and
that show has other
furthers
problems.
that furthers my
yes.
objectivity versus subjectivity point.
You like what you like, and you don't like what you don't like.
Yeah.
But there are standards. Like, there is such a thing as a bad movie, I think. Like, there are standards for writing and directing and things. Like, you can just like, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like, because it is subjective for the most part, but like, if I'm a public speaker, I need to, if I want to be a professional public speaker, I should probably go to school to learn the standards of public speaking and how to do it well, right? Like, I can't just, there are bad public speakers and there are good public speakers. It's the same with filmmakers. Like, there can be bad things in films and that sort of thing. But I got on a tangent. I don't know how that relates. I really like Lightyear. I think it's pretty fun. I think it is
a fun movie.
There's a twist at the end where Zurg opens up and it's old Buzz Lightyear, and it's this complicated. Kids probably have no idea what's going on in this movie. Where they're
just like, Gah!
It's Buzz Lightyear from the future who succumbed to his instincts sad boy vibes, and spends his life searching for technology and all this stuff, try to get back to the good days and be a space ranger again. But Chris Evans, Buzz Lightyear, well, it's still Chris Evans, but our Buzz Lightyear learns to trust others and ask for help, and learns that there's more to life than light speed and being a ranger. So
being a space ranger.
So I think
that was one of the thing. Sorry, go ahead.
I just think it has a good message for kids that I think rings through, where I think the base message is trust others, ask for help, mental health is important, that sort of thing. And I think that's a good message.
Those are valid points. Absolutely.
Yes.
Going back to the Zurg thing, like in Toy Story 2, we have like this goofy Star Wars bit where Zurg is his father.
Yeah.
And so that's where I was kind of expecting this to go.
Right.
And so he opens up, right, and old Buzz comes out, and Chris Evans, the younger Buzz, is like, Dad? And I was like, oh, here we go.
Yeah, right.
This is it. But then he was like, no, Buzz, I'm Buzz. And then I was like, oh, okay.
Oh.
This is a little different, but we're still doing something here. I'm really glad that Zurg wasn't just a robot, that they didn't just commit to this like boring evil villain.
Sure.
More complex villains can work in children's movies. I don't know why keep saying children.
Children's.
It's a kids movie. I don't like the word children. Anyway.
I think that's another thing that doesn't make any sense with the whole, in the Toy Story universe, Zurg is kind of like a slim, slender robot that has a big wrist cannon. But in this movie, he's this massive,
tank.
Just like mecha, like Godzilla type thing with huge legs and things, and he doesn't look anything like Zurg in Toy Story. So it's just
true,
like,
yeah.
I
thought about that. Yeah.
What are you doing? I just don't get it.
Yeah, I didn't really like at first. It was like, okay, we have like a force dyad dichotomy going here with two Buzzes, and they're gonna argue with themselves, and I thought that was really cool. But I mean, it was obvious right away that they weren't gonna agree, and Zurg Buzz was gonna turn on him, and that was just how the movie was gonna go.
Yep.
Of course, right? But like, it still was so fast to me. Like they had like one conversation about space travel and going back in time, and Ego and Star-Lord style, he says one wrong thing, and you get like a complete like, oh, this is where he wants to go, turn on him business. And that, I think that is a little rushed for me.
Yeah, it's a little on the nose. It's
critique.
A little bit rushed.
Yeah.
It's not super like profound. It's not like super unique, I guess. Like kind of exactly where it's going once you see it. But yeah, I think it elevates it to a point where it's not just a robot, so it's a little bit more interesting than that. So I think you're right about that.
At the very least, yeah. And then at the end, he's like falling back to the planet in his spaceship, young Buzz, and old Buzz Zurg comes back out of the explosion to like kill him, I guess.
Kill him, yeah.
And he just ejects from the thing and is like, "Not today, Zurg," and blows him up, and he's dead, and we never see him again. Right. It's just insta kills his older self.
Yeah.
Which is weird.
My inner child, when he says, "Not today, Zurg," and he ejects and his wings expand, and was like, dude, why isn't that? I mean, I loved it. It's like, why isn't that the whole movie? But that sort of thing, like it hits on that nostalgia, and there are little things like throughout the movie that call back to the original, like the very first scene when they first go onto that planet. He's kind of like, he says like the lines that he says when he is jumping on Andy's bed at the beginning of Toy Story and that sort of thing. And I was like, nice. That's a good touch.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah, I think Chris Evans balances like the kind of dumb isn't the right word, but just the kind of like what would you call Buzz Lightyear in Toy Story? Like he's very like convinced that he's real, and he's very literal, and that sort of thing.
Drax
and
the Destroyer syndrome.
Yeah, and Tim Allen plays that very well, and just kind of this meathead personality, I guess. And I think Chris Evans does a good job at like doing some of that and like having some of that personality, but also making him like feel a little bit different. So I think Evans does a good job for sure.
He's like a more naive version.
Yeah.
But he learned some stuff, and then Tim Allen's Buzz Lightyear is more like before the movie started.
Yeah, right.
Before he learns all the stuff, because he learns those things in Toy Story too.
Yes, exactly. But I mean, he's a toy, and all the toys are kind of insane, and they are.
That's true.
Whatever. So, yeah, I think it's definitely worth a watch.
Yeah. Okay. Well, before you continue on your little finale, there we have a segment for this.
That's true. I forgot.
It's called Art or Fart. Okay. That's great. It's art.
Yeah, it's art, dude. Yeah, I'd
Right.
say give it a watch. I say give it a watch.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's pretty good. I understand people's kind of complaints, and it's kind of if you go in with it in the, I mean, if you've seen the trailers, it's exactly what the trailers make it look like, I guess. So I don't know.
Mhm.
It's good. I say give it a whirl.
It's good.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
For sure.
You have a recommendation for us.
Yeah, I do. After I finished Obi-Wan Kenobi and I was in a period of anger, I was needing a release of some kind, a feel-good movie. And so I watched Chef.
Chef.
Have you seen Chef?
That's the Jon Favreau one?
It's a Jon Favreau film.
I have not seen it.
I love Chef. I think it's one of my... I didn't think of it at the time, but it would have been an honorable mention on my favorite movies of all time. I think it's... Yeah, I just think it's a great, like, feel-good movie, and it has really good, like, character. Jon Favreau wrote and directed it. It's about... Jon Favreau also plays the main character, and he is a chef named Carl Casper, and he's kind of at the top of his game. He's cooking at this 5 Michelin star restaurant. I don't know how many Michelin stars there are. He has the most of them, and he's cooking at that restaurant, and he has kind of these ambitions to be like the best chef he can be. And one night, a reviewer is coming to review their restaurant, and basically that. And so the owner of the restaurant wants Carl to stick to the menu that it's one of those restaurants where, like, it's a tasting menu that is just set, and so you have the 4 or 5 courses that are the same every night. Maybe that's not completely true. But so the owner of the restaurant wants him to stick to the menu that they've been going with for years and years and years, but Carl wants to do something different to really impress this critic. And so the critic comes, the owner forces Carl to make the food he's been making for years, and the critic just tears it apart. He hates it. He calls Carl Casper out. He calls him kind of that he's lost his touch and that sort of thing. And so Carl's never really gotten a review like that before, and so it really sends him into a spiral where he is really angry that he wasn't able to make the food that he wanted to make, that he knew would impress this critic. And so he kind of goes on a rampage. And Twitter is a major player in this movie, where this critic writes stuff on Twitter about him, and then Carl's son. So Carl's son is the other aspect of the movie, where it's a deadbeat dad movie, where that Carl's learning how to be a good father and that sort of thing.
Okay, sure.
And so his son teaches him what Twitter is, and so Carl doesn't really understand that when he tweets to this critic, like, he says something vulgar and terrible to him.
It's public.
Yeah, it's public, and everybody saw it, and it goes viral and all this stuff. And he eventually loses his job there, and has to kind of fall in love with cooking again, and in the process learn how to be a good dad. And it's really interesting because that whole kind of story point of him wanting to make food that's really creative and that he knows people will like, but the higher ups telling him that he has to stick to something else. That's kind of a commentary on his experience making Iron Man 2. And so that was kind of his outlet of being like, I'm an artist, I know what I want to make, but I'm being held back, and I was forced to make something. And people hated it, and now people are mad at me, when if I would have just made what I wanted to make, they would have loved it. And so I just think that's really interesting. That's not really what the story's about. Sure. It's not really about Iron Man 2, but it has that little nod, which I think is really cool.
Because he didn't make Iron Man 3.
No, he left after that. So it's like a really, really good, like, heartwarming movie that cheered me up after I was very upset about Obi-Wan. So,
Well, there
yeah,
you
definitely
go.
give it a watch. It's a great time. Lots of
Good
just
call,
like
good call.
great montages of Jon Favreau, like he's making food and they're filming it, and it's great to see. So,
Very nice.
yeah.
I do like food.
it's great.
Interesting.
That's all I
give
got.
that a watch, folks. I don't have any. Well, I guess I do. Recommending. I think right now is an amazing time to be a TV watcher. There is so much good TV happening right now.
Really?
Umbrella Academy season 3 just released on Netflix. Good show. Recommend that. The Boys on Amazon Prime. An allegory on American society today, where if superheroes were real people and how they would be corporate monsters, killing people, all sorts of stuff. It's all right. I'll give a disclaimer. That show is disgusting. All right. It's like, it's gross.
I watched the first episode and I didn't keep watching.
It's gross.
Yeah.
But like the allegory is really good.
Yeah.
And like spot on. It's super. I think it's really good. For All Mankind. I've talked about it several times on this show now.
Yes.
I love this show.
I need to check that out.
That's on Apple TV. So good. What else is going on? Stranger Things just released its final episodes yesterday.
Haven't seen
I
it yet.
watched both of them. It ended. I'm not going to say anything about it.
There you go.
Because Jordan hasn't seen it yet.
I'll see it in a couple hours.
So it's episode 8 is an hour and a half, and episode 9 is 2.5 hours.
Woo! That's a movie.
That's a movie.
Feature length.
And it was 2.5 hours. That's what I will say.
Yeah.
So, but those are all great shows. You should watch all of them.
Miss Marvel.
Miss Marvel.
Check out Miss Marvel.
I still haven't watched after this second episode.
Yeah.
But my parents are sounding interested in that, so we're probably gonna watch it with them.
It's really good.
And for me personally, I watch anime, and there's a lot of good anime going on right now, which is fun. There's a show on Netflix called Comey Can't Communicate. It's about a girl with social anxiety. She's very shy, and it's very upfront about people who are shy aren't shy because they don't want to talk to people. They still want and crave contact with people. They just don't really know how to do it.
Yeah.
And it's about her like the goal of the show is for her to have 100 friends in high school, right? And that's like the cute little thing. But she meets this boy, and he's nice to her and like is understanding, and he and a couple other people start to like show her how to be a social person and like get over that anxiety. And it's really good. It's comedic. It's got heart. I really, really like that show.
Nice.
Definitely watch that show. There's a show called Spy Family going on, which is, so there's a spy, and he has to prevent a war from happening. In order to prevent this war, he has to stop. They haven't really explicitly said what he's supposed to do to this person, but there's a political person that he needs to stop or assassinate or convince that the war is a bad idea. And so this person only shows up in public at this one event for his son at this private school. So he can't go in there alone. He has to have a child in the school, so he has an excuse to go to this event at the school.
I see.
So he doesn't have a child, so he adopts a child. Turns out this child can read minds. It's kind of a Stranger Things deal with that. I'm not really sure, but she can read minds. Then, during the interview process, he finds out that he needs a whole family, so he has to get a wife too. So he finds this girl who's an assassin who needs a husband to maintain her cover, and they don't tell each other their ulterior motives,
Oh.
but they both have this fake marriage and this fake family of a bunch of people hiding their own secrets from each other
Interesting.
while also pretending to be a real family
Mhm.
on the outset. And it's just about them trying to figure out how to do this mission while maintaining their covers with each other. Really funny,
sounds good.
really good. Definitely watch that show. It's just every day something is releasing and it's good. And I really like that it's all good. You know, there's
Right.
always TV shows and most of them are bad. But then right now is just a sweet spot and there's a ton of good TV right now.
Mm.
And it just makes me happy. Stranger Things is
Nice.
over, of course, but you could still watch it.
Yeah, you can
So
watch it
that's
whenever you want.
you know.
It's on there
exactly.
forever.
So
Yeah.
TV is really good, you guys.
Yep.
All
And
right.
if you need something else to watch, go watch Daredevil, for example. I mean, there's
Oh,
plenty of good TV
Daredevil
out
is
there.
so good. We should do an episode on Daredevil.
We should. We'll do a top 5 TV shows of all time. Top 10.
I made
Pretty
it
s-
10,
pretty-
and I
pretty
have my
soon.
list.
I have 5.
And I may
written
have
down.
to change it and put Daredevil on there because I forgot about that one.
Oh, dude, it definitely belongs.
Oh, that's a good show.
Oh man.
Yeah. Okay. That's all I have on my recommendations list.
Nice.
Umbrella Academy, The Boys, For All Mankind, Stranger Things, Comey Can't Communicate, Spy Family.
Woo.
Go watch all those shows.
Go watch Chef.
They're all really good. Go watch Chef. Watch Lightyear. It is good. If you don't have Disney Plus, Obi-Wan isn't the thing that's going to sell you on that.
Yeah.
But if you do, watch the last episode.
Yeah.
You don't
I
really
did.
need to watch the rest of the show. It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
So
What's coming up next week,
there
Joshua?
you have it. Next week, oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh, guys.
This is like, I haven't been this excited about an episode in a long time.
Woo.
I mean,
I mean.
I'm excited about every episode, of course,
Yeah.
but like even more
Right.
this episode.
Got something good.
We are going to be talking about Harry Potter and ranking the movies, but we got an extra twist.
Extra twist.
Not only will it be 2 quarter twins,
Mm.
we got 2 more quarter twins coming on the
Nice.
podcast. That's right. Caitlin and Kelsey, JK, J, and K.
Woo.
Our parents are really smart planning out our
Yeah.
names.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to have a full twin here
full
next
twin.
week
Wow.
to talk about Harry Potter. I haven't seen, well, okay, I watched all the movies in like the fall
Mm.
with my friend. So like I haven't had the craving to watch them again, but here we are a week
We
in,
gotta do it, and we got.
and
a
I gotta
podcast.
watch them all
Yeah.
because I got a podcast. So I gotta kind of force myself to watch them, even though I like them all, but I'm not craving watching them.
Yeah.
So
It'll be an interesting episode because I think we all kind of. You guys watched Harry Potter as kids, and me and Kelsey, you didn't. So I think, yeah, that'll
I think
be
we all have a different
a different
perspective on
perspective.
these
So
movies.
it'll be fun for sure.
Yeah. So it's all very exciting. We're gonna talk about these movies,
Hmm.
and it's gonna be really good.
Yeah, it is.
I think it's gonna be a great episode. I can see the graphic now with the little visualizer circle in the center.
Yes.
It's gonna be great. With that being said, check out our Instagram. We have one TikTok. You can check that out if you want.
Yeah.
We'll get on that eventually. We'll figure that out. It's
Mhm.
not a big deal. Like, comment, share, subscribe on the YouTube channel. Tweet links. Put us on your story when you listen to us. You know, spread the word. We're not
Yep.
doing it ourselves.
We really, it's really hard to grow our audience by ourselves. So if you would,
Yeah.
if the 30 of you who are listening to this every week, would consider giving us a little share, a little shout out.
If you all give one recommendation, then that would double our audience.
That's right. Yeah.
Think about that.
Just got to
mathematically
convince them
speaking.
that this show is good, regardless if you think it is or not.
Exactly.
So,
Perfect.
Yeah.
With that being said, thank you guys so much for listening and watching. This is a bit of a shorter episode. It only went an hour and 15 minutes or so.
Mm-hmm.
But my mom was complaining about how it takes her 5 days to listen to the Marvel episodes because she only listens to them in the car, and they're 2.5 hours long.
Yeah.
So, here you go, Mom. This is a short one for you. You're welcome.
Yeah. It'll only
we'll
take
see you guys
2
next
days.
week for Harry Potter. It's hype. We're hype.
Yeah, we are.
We'll see you guys next week. To infinity
and beyond.
Yeah.